So good afternoon, everyone. My topic is regarding ECG basics and in coronary artery disease. But I would like to highlight few interesting cases which comes across our day-to-day clinical practice, because we all know the basics and everything. So let's quickly, don't waste time in the basics. And the number of cases which I have, it depends on you how fast you can solve all the cases with the ECG. So let's start with first case. 67-year-old female patient had diabetic in the past and past history of PTCA 2 years, angioplasty 2 years back. She came with the chest pain into the emergency department, and this is the ECG. So what is your interpretation or any comment? I think it is a very basic thing. At MBBS level also, we can just give the comment. Like it is nothing high-fi in the all ECGs. So anything is abnormal or everything is fine in this patient. LV hypertrophy, good. Who is saying LV hypertrophy? Good, Hiren. So again, you can see the LV hypertrophy, but always look at the standardization. See the standardization here, which is absolutely wrong. Right, and this thing I have seen in 6th floor ICU many times, that the patient having double standardized ECG or sometimes single standard half standardized ECG, which gives totally wrong information. So this has happened to 8 to 10 times to me on 6th floor because of the new staff and all. So always remember that this standardization should be checked before interpretation of the ECG. That is very, very important, because it can mislead you in the LVH or in pericardial effusion sometimes because of the low voltage ECG and all kind of things. So, and sometimes ST elevation, T inverse and everything can be missed easily in that. So this is very, very important. You can see it here. This is the full normal standardization. Normal standardization, the height should be 1 millimole, 10 millimeter of the smallest square. That should be the normal standardization. If it is double, you can see the heightened QRS complexes. And if it is half, you can see the half of the QRS complexes. Okay, next case, 57-year-old female patient came to emergency department with severe chest pain, had recent history of fever with cough. Basically, she had left lower lobe consolidation, the pneumonia. Amit Bhai was called for the reference. Vitals for everything is fine. Heart rate was 110. And this was the ECG. Amit Bhai has seen this ECG and he would like to comment something on that. Okay, so you can see grossly there are T inversion, some ST elevation, you can see it here, and multiple leads, and even there is a deep Q wave also in the septal leads. So it is grossly abnormal, right? And the patient with this kind of risk profile, definitely we need to rule out the acute coronary syndrome. That is very, very important. And definitely troponin was sent, which was positive, along with the pneumonia. Now patient having trop positive and pneumonia, this is kind of ACS situation, which is common in many of our indoor patients also, right? And echo was advised, and that was showing LV ejection fraction was 30-35%, and there was a distal segment hypokinesia. Angiography was surprisingly normal. Okay, so anything you can recall this kind of situation when troponin is positive, echo is abnormal, LV dysfunction. Yes, Tacos cardiomyopathy, which is very, very common, and this is one of the reversible cause of cardiomyopathy. It is basically stress-associated cardiomyopathy, and typical presentation is of SES with all ECG changes, troponin level, echo findings, everything is suggesting acute coronary syndrome. But this LV function usually tend to improve over the subsequent period of weeks, and normal angiography is usually normal. Okay. Right. So it is common. It is stress associated finding. Right. Right. Okay. But the most important thing always when there is this kind of scenario, always to do the angiography. We cannot miss the acute coronary syndrome. If there is significant block or something is there, we can easily miss the Takotsubo, that is fine, but we can't miss the acute coronary syndrome or significant lesion. So always over investigation is always good in this kind of scenario, but this kind of entity we should keep it in the mind, especially when there is associated stress with the acute medical emergency situation. The next case, 60 years old gentleman, diabetic, hypertensive, emergency department. He came with 1 day history of retrosternal chest pain. He had recent history of pneumonia,
His vital signs were normal. Physical examination is grossly normal. Troponin, CPKMB, everything is normal. And this is the ECG. Amit Bhai has seen the patient 1 week before, and now the patient came to emergency department with this kind of ECG. Okay, so you can see, yes, exactly right. At least ST elevation we cannot miss, right? Everybody can see the ST elevation, clear-cut ST elevation. Especially if you see it here in the infralateral leads, you can see the concavity upward ST elevation. Okay, and there is a chest pain, troponin, everything is normal. Always ask for one more thing: whether the pain is sharp, it is radiating to the right shoulder and neck or not. Okay, and whether the pain is worsening on lying down or taking deep breath or not, and it is relieving on leaning forward. That is a typical feature of acute pericarditis, and that can happen post pneumonia or even along with the pneumonia as well. And this is a typical ECG finding of ST elevation with the concavity upward in the ECG. That is typical finding of the acute pericarditis. So I will not go in detail about everything, but you can see it here. This is a ST elevation, sometimes J point elevation, which is called as Kodiak sign of acute pericarditis. And this is a convexity upward ST elevation. This is typical of acute coronary syndrome, ST elevation myocardial infarction. So this is a basic feature, but again, always it is better to rule out SCAs with the troponin and echo and all the findings. Sometimes early repolarization, which is 10 to 15% of the chest pain, patient came to with the chest pain to the emergency department, has early repolarization syndrome. And there are criteria to differentiate between these two situations based on the ST elevation and the T wave ratio. We'll not go in detail about that. It will be very boring. But always remember, whenever there is a doubt in the SCAs, always give this three set of the investigation, especially the troponin and the echocardiogram. That is very, very important. And if any doubt is there, we can always do the angiography. Again, 40 years old male smoker came with the dizziness, syncopal episode while standing. No history of chest pain, dyspnea, palpitation, echo vitals, everything is normal. His father died at the age of 45 years. Again, it is a territory of Hirenbai. So what is the abnormal in the ECG? Exactly right. This is the Brugada syndrome. You can see it here. This kind of ST elevation can happen in the SCS situation also, but this is typical code ST elevation in the V1 to V3, especially V1 and V2, which is very, very typical of Brugada syndrome, and there is a typical history of sudden cardiac death in the family, especially in the young age. Okay, I think one or two cases we can take. So this case, acute chest pain with shortness of breath. Okay, if I'll add some more history, it will be very easy to diagnose, but I will restrict here. Tell me the diagnosis from the ECG. It is a very common scenario, very common clinical situation. RBBB, very good. At least you can find RBBB. That is very, very good. Why pulmonary embolism? Very good. Excellent. Excellent. So you can see it here. There is a deep S wave, S1, and QT, Q and T inversion in lead 3. Okay, that is a very specific finding in the pulmonary embolism, and that presents only 20% of the patients. With this thing, if I write something that patient came with the desaturation, it's very obvious that patient having pulmonary embolism, right? And these are the ECG features. Obviously, RBBB, RV strain patterns, right axis deviation, even T wave inversion. T wave inversion in the V1 to V3, here it is RBBB, but you can see it is a primary T wave inversion because of the RV strain pattern. That is again suggestive of severe pulmonary hypertension. So these are the typical features of the pulmonary embolism. And I think this is the last case, 60 years old lady with diabetic and uncontrolled hypertension. This is the ECG. ICH. Why ICH? Subendocardial ischemia? Uncontrolled hypertension. Leading to some neurological. Right, Minesh is right. So this is a cerebral T wave. It is not always ischemic. See, T inversion is always not the ischemic T inversion. Okay, there are lots of reasons for the T inversion, and this is one of the reasons. The deep T wave inversion, inverted T wave, is one of the sign of raised intracranial pressure. And always you should look for when there is a stroke or uncontrolled hypertension you're suspecting, ICH. The last slide, just I want to highlight the T wave things. hyperkalemia, hyperacute ischemia, and normal variant, how the tall T wave appears. So usually in the hyperkalemia, the T wave is symmetrical, narrow based, and pointed. It's like a tent. And in the hyperacute ischemia, it is usually symmetrical but broad based. The base is broad, usually in the ischemic tall T waves. And the normal, usually it is asymmetric. So this is the difference between these situations when you find the tall T wave in the ECG. Thank you.